Welcome to House of Prozorov, the Melting Snowflake. Having a meltdown here in a good way. That's what this is all about. Sort of rants and thoughts on the larger picture. The conspiracy theorists are not over yet. There's still more of them out there. I'm not sure if I fall into that category, but that's not my goal anyhow. I kind of just want people to look at the actual facts and the things that they see daily. And, the elite have really overcomplicated many things for the common person. They've overregulated the common person. They have so many rules for the common person. So in America, so many common people end up in jail, and which leads them to a real life of crime after the first couple of spats where they're wrongfully thrown in prison or jail. And you got to understand the police, it's not even just the police issue. I hear people talk about, oh, the police. I'm like, man, these police officers are treated like they are salesmen that have to meet quotas sometimes. They're set down in a room. Their commanding officer comes and talks to them and gives them a pep talk in the morning. Just like the commanding salesman you see on Jordan Belfort when he goes in and he tries to get his salespeople to be able to sell all these stocks and tries to rile them up and get them to make great phone calls and stuff. Well, the same thing happens there where the police commissioner or the police chief or even one of the city council member comes in and they want to see a crackdown just because they got together, had coffee, and they talked about the need to bust people just to bust them, okay? Because there's a theory that more crime is happening. And then the poor bastard who's the dumbest and slowest one often gets caught. He may not even be committing a crime. He may be poor, and somehow you can usually catch people through poverty and crime. When somebody's really poor, always be weary when they're charged with a crime, especially if it's a non-violent crime or a crime where somebody was not seriously hurt. You should always ask questions like they were driving under suspension. Well, those idiots, they should have renewed their license, or they were, they failure to pay fines. They went to jail. A warrant for their arrest, it doesn't even say it's because they failed to pay a fine. So people see this stuff and they make all sorts of assumptions when the real assumption should be that the lack of money can result in jail or even prison. Let me repeat that. The lack of money in our society can result in jail and prison. Even more so as we move towards a more technologically savvy age with the high-tech gurus using their data crunching to extract money. How can we raise rent to the highest price point so we can extract as much money from the poorest people as possible? How can we raise the prices of used cars to the highest possible price point so we can extract as much money as possible from all the people? So we miss a few customers at the bottom. So they won't be able to rent a house. So what? So they won't be able to buy a car. So what? So they won't even be able to buy proper food. So what? That's not our job. We're business people. We crunch numbers. We're salespeople. But back to what I talked about at the beginning. How does that relate? I was talking about the local law enforcement's police officers, etc., being forced to bust people because the overlapping principles of business tie into the law enforcement industry. It certainly does. It ties into the prison. They use basic business principles as well. And you got to remember the elite are trying to get us to hop around like we have like our foots are on fire. So we have to run around like bitches, excuse me. We have to run around like slaves, is the better way to say that. We have to run around like slaves that are constantly being pushed and pushed and prodded and pushed and prodded. And they seriously believe that, hey, if those things were free, everybody would just take everything. If it was too easy, everybody would just cheat on that, or everybody can't get an A, or, there's all these theories that they have that they expound because it's human nature to be assholes for some people. And then they believe that's human nature. No, it's your human nature to be an asshole. Excuse my language. It's your human nature to be a bad person. Not everybody thinks like you. Well, I'm going to take all I can get. Hey, that's a no-no. That's a basic religious principle, whether you're a Muslim, a Hindu, or a Christian. The basic tenet is you don't take all you can get. You share responsibly. So the people that go and take all they can get, Hopefully their moral background would keep them from doing that. But if that doesn't do it, we can have rules to stop people from going in and taking all they can get. However, that gets sometimes transposed wrongfully on people. And there are too many rules sometimes that go after a poor person who just doesn't have any money. So, and the pressures are put on them to constantly work, to constantly have debt, and constantly have bills, because the theory might be, get this, the elite might believe that if you're not constantly in debt and you have saved up money, you'll quit working for them. Well, that's what they do. They're at the top and they believe they're such hard workers. But we remember Undercover Boss. It showed, it exploited truthfully that a lot of these people are incapable of doing these very difficult jobs. And at a certain age, nobody should be doing those jobs. Those jobs are too demanding. That's a fact. And people that are aged should not get lower pay because they're not doing these physically demanding jobs. Hopefully their wisdom will come into use. Of course, now we have Google and computers that can take the place of wisdom. And, so we have a lot of dangers with the high-tech gurus. It is not the blessing that we think it is. In fact, I would tell people to watch Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One, and watch where they have to go in and steal the data from a techno-savvy empire that is protecting the data, and it's in their hands and protected by high-level security and military, which is the future of Google. It's the future of Facebook. Facebook, it's unbelievable. But, feed on that for a little bit. And I've said enough. This is the House of Prozorov, the Melting Snowflake, telling you to think about how they put pressure points on you to make you do stuff and almost enslave you and make you an indentured servant. And the theory is that if you didn't have all this pressure on you, you become a lazy bastard, worthless to the elite in our society who embrace capitalism like it's the only possible system we could ever have. And they talk about free markets when the markets are not free at all, because it costs money to play in those markets and gain control of those markets. It costs money for them to shut down those markets and to use regulation through legal apparatuses that they pay for, because they're the only ones that have the money to pay for it. That's why you don't see a whole lot of competition against YouTube and Wikipedia and these other people coming up. Wikipedia is still free, but the attack on that is still imminent to try and turn it into a for-profit venue. Craigslist, the same thing. It's been weakened by scams. You don't know who's doing the hacking. Are they paid corporate hackers, or are they just hackers that come out of nowhere doing what really is going to help the corporations, which would make no sense. So be wary of it all. Question it all. Look at where they're putting the pressure points, because they know if they put pressure points on you, they can cause pain and force you to behave a certain way. And that's what they're doing, causing you fear, causing you pain, causing you economic turmoil. These are all things done to make you behave in a certain way. This is House of Prozorov, the melting snowflake. Hey, it's summertime. There shouldn't be any snow where you're at right now unless you're in Alaska. Later.